Bye.
All right, so let's go ahead and start with the Ceph ambassadors, see how much discussion we get around this. I put into chat the Etherpad, and this is kind of just fleshing out some ideas, just basic ideas that I would expect from a community ambassador program. Uh, Reason why I want to establish such a group is because it does not make sense to have one community manager to help out with Ceph. As I have learned in the past, with my one of my first years of running as community manager was there could usually end up being a lot of Ceph days, and I kind of find that as we progress through the pandemic and things start to reopen, Ceph days are going to pick up again. And also things like the Ceph meetups, I feel like are going to pick up as well. And it does not work to have one community manager at scale, period. So I wanted to start the discussion around what exactly would a community ambassador do and how they can help with the Ceph project in their regions with these different responsibilities. So to start off with Ceph days, I believe back in 2019 we had about 14 different Ceph days, and in different regions. And kind of like the idea that I see from this is, we have people who volunteer to organize a Ceph day, and this, people might not necessarily be an ambassador, or they could be an ambassador. However, they have of interest of running a Ceph day in their city. And in order to do that, it requires things like a budget of establishing things for creating, getting a venue, having catering, usually having a social event at the end if that's applicable. So what I kind of see is an ambassador could actually help these organizers, or even organize a Ceph day, and requesting some of this budget from the Ceph Foundation. And along with that too, same thing for things like meetups. Well, before I get ahead, anybody have questions with Ceph days or things that we can make it better in terms of having ambassadors?
No, I think it's a great idea, Mike, and it's kind of something that we've spoken about at events when we bumped into each other at various times. And I think the other thing
Yeah.
is that there's all kinds of local knowledge that would come into organizing a Ceph day. So being aware of other meetups and DevOps days and infra days and all these other kind of local events, rather than just building out something new, but also figuring out how to integrate with other relevant technology events, I think is something that you couldn't possibly on your own keep track of, you know, all the different technology events in Bucharest and in Seattle and in Rochester. It's not going to happen. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, there's also, different logistics in different countries and how they do taxes and things like that. And having having the assistance of like other people that are familiar with that could definitely help out. Otherwise, it's kind of ends up taking a bit of time with me trying to figure things out and working with the organizers. So
Yep, I think it's
and
a great idea, Mike, and it'll ease out a lot of things from your end.
yeah, so what I'm kind of envisioning as well is we have some Ceph days where people want to have them in their local language as well. And so I kind of figure that ambassadors can help organizers and vice versa of finding different centers as well that could speak the local language.
Yeah, Mike, potentially it's also obviously a good crossover with the market development group, isn't it, in terms of helping on the ground to get the message out that the days are happening and finding good speakers, from this kind of talent pool that hopefully we're going to build out.
Yeah. Yeah, and as well as we mentioned with the speaker bureau, it would be kind of good to also keep track of like what languages different speakers are able to present in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So along with Ceph Days, though, we also have Ceph meetups, and I listed from the wiki the current list of meetups that we have right now. And I am not really sure how many of these are really active. I know that in China and Beijing, for example, we have people that are active as of, I think, last April. But otherwise, though, the rest of these, I'm kind of unsure. So I think as like a action point, it would be kind of good for ambassadors to start working with their appropriate region and working with the different meetup groups to seeing if the organizers are still active. If they're not active, are they able to give ownership to someone else? If there is somebody that is willing to do it. But otherwise, though, should probably get the meetup wiki page a little bit more updated with active meetups.
Yeah, I think a good part will be coordinating with all the meetup groups which are active in a particular region, like Asia Pacific, uh, based based out of Europe. I mean, the region which are closest to the nearest ambassador can actually have that sync with the meetup group and get things running.
And then along with that as well, there's any sort of local conferences that are happening in our particular regions. The other thing that the Ceph Foundation can help with as well is, providing out swag for these different events. So we wanted to say have booth presence as well as just being able to hand out swag to people and also be able to find speakers for some of these conferences to give Ceph related presentations as well. We have the thing like in Etherpad, for example, we have the CFP coordination right now that somewhat kept up to date. Put it into the Etherpad and chat. But I think kind of getting more coordinated on the CFP, which I think this also, again, works with the market development working group. It's something that we have been already doing. And now that we have this new website that is on GitHub, it's kind of more accessible to people to provide written content. And one of the things that the website does support as well is different languages, and that's something else we could talk about. But it can be somewhat a little challenging to find written content that's different tutorials. But one of the other things that I think would be kind of neat to get back into the blog is write-ups from local meetup events that have occurred so that other people could see how people are running Ceph meetups in different other parts of the world. Of course, this can happen like after we coordinate more with the current meetup organizers.
So, interesting thing is that there's lots of blog content. I mean, Soft Iron blog has quite a lot of blog content. There's many other Ceph blogs and kind of storage blogs around the internet. Some of those might be relevant. I know, like historically, open source projects use what do they call that aggregator? There's a popular open source aggregator. Just gone out of my mind. Where it kind of pulls in Planet. I think it was like planet dot something dot whatever, and so you could just like set up a blog aggregator. But I don't know how that would really. I'm not sure how that would really work with the new Ceph.io website. But maybe we could do some sort of reblog thing. I feel like there's a lot of content that we can leverage already out there.
Are you mentioning about RSS feed, which can be integrated?
I think that's how Planet works. Yeah, I think it uses RSS.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the challenge would be we would have to, since we're using a static content generator now, you have to have something that could take a list of RSS feeds perhaps, and then it would have to take those posts that are in rich text format, and it would have to convert it to Markdown. That'd be something we'd have to figure out. Which is kind of the reason why we don't have a Ceph Planet right now.
Yeah, yeah, and that's probably not going to work very well. Definitely not in an automated way. Hmm.
There might be, something with the framework that we chose, 11D, that might have something like this that'll work. I used a tool, for example, that converted all the WordPress posts down to Markdown. I didn't do that by hand, but it wasn't perfect as well. There was a lot of fixing that had to take place on how it did some of the Markdown. But I think, yeah. I mean, one thing that can definitely happen is we could take posts manually from people that want to do pull requests that have already appeared in another post, and we could tag those as Planet.
So in India, normally we have a meetup group where we want to collect ideas, where we actually have a particular repository reserved for that, and we submit pull requests for new content. Even for talks, meetup talks, we submit pull requests, and then we kind of use that way to organize meetups as well. So I think it becomes very easy to keep a track, even for accepting talks and accepting content both. That becomes easy.
And one of the other things that would be a great help is helping to find content for some of our more virtual type of events that take place, such as like Ceph Tech Talks, code walkthroughs. Having more of that from different parts of the world is also great too. Kind of linked to those. Should be starting up that content again now that Ceph month is over. I kind of like to get content queued up by August.
This is maybe crossover with the marketing group, but also identifying Ceph users that we can showcase for the on the website.
That's a good point. I'll add that to the Etherpad.
do we have somewhere where we have like local user groups that are like um, cataloged or anything like that? Like I can imagine in some metro areas, in like more tech areas, that we might have like local user groups. I know there's one in like Munich or something, but it'd be nice to have those sort of cataloged as well.
You're talking about the meetups, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess for the same thing. But
Yeah, because I do see Munich listed in the wiki meetups page.
Yeah, this is Chris here from Kleisel. So Joachim used to be part of that group, or is still part of that group, our general director or CEO and founder. And they used to have events at companies, using the boardroom then, and have really different topics that they would then exchange on, and at the end order some food in. But it was all done on a, let's say, in a loosely way, not professionally organized. And they would have those events, those meetups on a regular basis, but again loosely. It would be maybe every quarter, maybe every half a year, and again nothing professionally organized. So that's why we joined now, and we were hoping that there are, let's say, more ideas on how to kind of streamline this for the different regions, so that we get this up and running in a more professional and more coordinated way. And then also, if you have, let's say, an ambassador for the German speaking, for the DACH region, for Germany, Austria, Switzerland, then maybe you have somebody for the English, for England, for UK up, or for other countries, and then they also exchange information, or that people from each area can join virtually if they like, things like that.
And one thing to add to that idea is another meetup group from all over the regions can collaborate with each other and, I mean, share some ideas. That if let's say one country needs help in organizing a speaker, we can maybe get in touch with the meetup groups from other countries if the timeline or time zone is intersecting, and we can have one virtual talk and another local in-person speaker. So everyone can collaborate hand in hand.
Yeah, having speakers reporting in virtually ends up being a kind of last resort if we can't really fill up the schedule for a Ceph day. But having the assistance from other ambassadors in nearby countries, that'd be a huge help.
Yeah, I think obviously a lot of this will look far more positive once we start having in-person events again, which hopefully will be soon. But yeah, well, just to reiterate, I think it would be important to for local ambassadors to kind of integrate with other meetup groups. For example, in the UK, we have quite a lot of cloud native meetups and OpenStack meetups, and they're pretty well attended. And a lot of those attendees would be very interested in Ceph and open source storage that way. And so I think I think it's really important to have that kind of cross pollination going on. Otherwise, it's just a missed opportunity.
Yes, and we have programming language focus groups in various countries as well. Like Python community is very huge. So we can intersect and communicate with the Python community. Maybe some other programming language focus groups are also there, like Golang users group and all. So especially cloud native is huge actually across every region. Every region has its own local group.
Yeah. So yeah, what I'm kind of envisioning is putting together like a Ceph swag kit to give out to the different ambassadors. So when we are able to attend those type of local events that are around different programming languages, as you were saying, then we can kind of start getting people excited about stuff, providing stickers or enamel pins, things like that, and trying to get them to take a look at the community and join.
I think we talked about this a long time ago, but I don't remember what we decided or didn't decide. But do we have a dedicated email list set up for like these kind of discussions, like a community that people can sign up for, or should we do that?
We don't have anything dedicated yet. It kind of goes back to the question I was asking earlier, though, about whether or not we should be splitting up, things into different mailing lists or not. I'm kind of more for like keeping everything like something like this in Ceph users and then tagging it in the subject line appropriately, like as ambassador or whatever. Otherwise, I feel like these discussions kind of get segregated. People don't see it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, we could have a separate list, but then just for anything that we want to expose to Ceph users, copy those people, copy that list. I mean, my only concern is that I don't read Ceph users all the time because there's too much traffic, but I would want to stay abreast probably of this player list.
Okay.
Maybe we could have one separate mailing list for many of these things. So for the market development group and for the kind of community meetings, so you wouldn't have lots of different lists, but you could put a lot of the kind of working group traffic and updates that come from, let's say, the user survey working group as well, to all end up in one list, and then make the Ceph users list aware of that.
Yeah. So perhaps resurrecting bringing back the community at Ceph.io list for these initiatives. Okay.
Probably the same thing for marketing, and we can just encourage people to copy Ceph users or members, Foundation members or whatever, literally, just to like keep people in the loop. But for logistical things like scheduling meetings and stuff, it's nice to have a convenient list.
Yeah.
Public archives as well for this, so that if anyone does miss emails, if you're worried about isolation, you can catch up on that.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I would have to update the website a little bit because we're kind of using the community email address right now as a catch-all for community-related like requests on adding tech talks or additional meetups or things like that. So, but the adjustment should be easy. So I'm kind of trying to think of like what would make sense as a first take in action items that we could do here, and I'm wondering if it makes sense for us to kind of split up based on our region. I mean, Europe is one of the largest in terms of that has listed meetups, but if we could start contacting the different meetup groups and the organizers, and understanding if these different people are still able and willing to run their appropriate meetups, and that we could be ready for them when things start opening up, and we could get ready to be able to provide them with additional things like swag for the different attendees, as well as providing perhaps initial sponsorship as well to provide things like catering, things like that.
Yep, sounds good. Sounds like a plan.
And if we don't have any particular meetups in our set region, then perhaps we can look for people that would be willing to organize a Ceph meetup when the time comes. Okay. I'll take that as a okay. So that's about the things that I had that I wanted to go over, or just like thinking out loud of the responsibilities for ambassador program. Did anybody have anything else you wanted to add? Okay. Well, okay. So for next plan, I'm going to go ahead and create or make adjustments to the community list, and everybody who's on this call right now that's also listed under who is interested on the Etherpad, I will add you to the community list and we'll go from there.
Sure, Mike.
Hey, thank you. Keep us in the loop, please, because we have plenty of ideas how to get this community going here in German-speaking areas. Thank you.
When are you looking in Germany?
I beg your pardon?
When are you looking to doing your, because you mentioned you're going to be doing events soon in Germany?
It all depends on the restrictions with all of this COVID and so on, and we also wanted to wait what's coming from your side to maybe combine that and set something up for Q3 or Q4, and depends on a few factors. Maybe we can already do that under, let's say, the new umbrella that you're setting up, and we can already do a startup event. Depends on the speaker, because we also wanted to get plenty of let's say speakers in. I think Sage mentioned something about clients before. Maybe we can also get a customer to give some feedback on certain topics, to kind of share their experience, things like that. So we have plenty of creative ideas. We just need to get the rubber on the road, so to speak.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll email out on the list the different meetup groups, and so that we could start contacting organizers as well.
Okay, yep. Let us know, please. Keep us in the loop, and we'll be ready to help.
Okay.
Mike, when are the next events planned up? Like, when are the next Ceph days planned? As a part of the event, as a part of the community event,
What's the plan?
for the next Ceph days? What's
The
the
next
recent
Ceph days.
Yep. What's the nearest
Yeah.
one that is?
I haven't had anybody reach out to organize one with the way that things are right now.
And yeah, here in India as well, the restrictions are pretty, I mean, yeah, pretty bad. So it's like the COVID restrictions are still there. So I'm not sure when they're expecting to lift up.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right. Well, thank you everybody for your time. And we'll continue on the list.